everybody! This is Barbara Gales calling, and welcome back to Umineko When the Seagulls Cry. Let's just begin. The four of us cousins were enjoying our stories, just shooting the breeze. Anyway, there were both girls and guys here. Plus, we had people over a wide spread of ages: adult, high school, and elementary school. Even if we just talked about our own lives, the other three kept listening attentively.
なんかやっと馴染んできたぜ。ジェシカもマリアも6年前からは想像もつかないくらい成長しちまったからよ。
I think there's a cut on my lip.
正直なところ、少しだけ違和感を持ってたんだが、こうして話をしているうちに、中身はあの頃から何も変わってないことが分かったぜ。
同じ言葉を返してやるよ。バトラだって6年ぶりだってのに全然変わってねえぜ。図体がいくらでかくなっても中身は相変わらずお子様だってことだな。
マリアもお子様。マリアもお子様。
マリアだっていつまでもお子様じゃねえぞ。お子様から可愛いお姫様に成長してくんだからな。そうしたらまな板みてえな胸もすぐジェシカ並みになるぞ。
Just like with Jessica! Your cousins!
そしたら揉ませてくれよ。約束だぞ。
I'm not sorry. Your cousins!
揉ませる。約束する。
What?
ダメだよマリアちゃん。そんな約束しちゃダメ。
おー、約束したから揉ませる。マリア、約束は守る。絶対守る。
マリア、お前本当に素直ないい子だな。お前と結婚する未来の旦那さんはきっと幸せ者だぜ。
っていい話にすり替えつつ約束を保持してんじゃねえぜ。マリア、その約束はなしなし。
約束取り消し。
やっぱりバトラ君も揃って4人で集まらないといとこが集合した気がしなかったね。この6年はやっぱり寂しかったよ。
そうだな。こういうふざけた話にはならなかったな。でも建設的な話はできてたと思ったぜ。将来に対する心構えとか受験とか就職とかよ。
悪うございましたね。俺が来たらおまぬけなドタバタばっかりでよ。
でもマリアは今年のが楽しい。
そうだね。僕も同感。今年が一番楽しいよ。
Get ready for tonight. Maria's sincere words probably spoke for everyone present. George and Nikki stroked Maria's hand, and she giggled like a happy kitten.
失礼いたします。
Oh, here we go.
お食事のご用意ができました。
A timid knocking sound came. Wow. I already started reading the line below that line. Oops. It's only 5 minutes in. I shouldn't be doing stupid shit like that. I'm sorry, everyone. A timid knocking sound, and the equally timid voice of a young woman came through the door. Jessica answered brightly.
シャナ、入れよ。バトラは覚えてるだろ。
Jessica stood up from the bed and opened the door. There stood a servant girl who must have been about our age.
ご無沙汰いたしております、バトラ様。6年ぶりでございます。シャノンです。
Trembling a little as she noticed me, she bowed deeply.
はあ。ジェシカにも驚かされたが、シャノンちゃんにも驚かされたぜ。あんたもすっかり美人になったじゃねえのよ。
もったいないお言葉、強烈に存じます。
しかしよ、この島じゃよっぽど食事の栄養価が高いんじゃねえのか。何を食ってどこを鍛えたらそんなにでっかいお胸になるんだって。ジェシカとどっちがでけえか、ちょいと触って確かめさせてもらうぜ。
You do not want someone who's doing that pose to approach you. I am uncomfortable looking at Battler in that pose. With both hands poised and saliva dripping from my mouth, I close it. For the sake of justice, my personal honor, I'd like to point out that I don't suffer from some strange disease that make my lip nodes itch until I scratch. Right, you Kishi, you clever fucker! Oh my god, you clever motherfucker! For the sake of justice, my personal honor, I'd like to point out that I don't suffer from some strange disease that make my lip nodes itch until I scratch my neck open, and which can only be prevented by fondling breast. Oh man. I love this line. I fucking love this line. And why do I feel like this is like some sort of like an abridged storyline for Keiichi? Why does this feel like an abridged storyline for Keiichi? This is just a battler-style method of communication. If I slowly close in on her like this, odds are 8 or 9 out of 10 that I get slapped or clobbered, right? So I can use this battler-style original technique to start a gag like that and break the ice. Well, it also means I really do get the touchstone on that 1 in 10 chance though, right? Like that ever happened. At that point, my hands were less than a centimeter away from Shan-chan's boobs, but the counterstrike had yet to come. She blushed and lowered her head in embarrassment when she realized what was going on. But she just stood there, with both hands politely joined in front of her, not even trying to resist or cover her breast. Hey! I wasn't planning on this! Please, hit me right now, or I'm seriously gonna... Which is why I was glad that Jessica chose that time to drive her elbow into the back of my head. Oh man, Battler. How am I supposed to, with good conscience, read that? Well, I mean, it's glad that he knows what he was doing was wrong, but still, I don't think that sort of gag is that good of one to do.
なんで私が感謝されんだお
いやいや、すまんぜ、シャノンちゃん。魅力的な胸に思わず吸着されそうになっちまった。つうか、さすがにあの間合いまで来たら犯罪確定だろ。
Well, Battler, you kind of just became one.
ダメだぜ、抵抗しなきゃよ。
ですけど、バトラ様は大切なお客様ですし。
あのな、お客様よ、犯罪は犯罪。
Okay. I think this quote should be framed and sent to multitudes of people.
女の子の胸はだいたい10センチくらいからが防空識別圏だな。2センチ圏まで侵入してきたら、これはもう領空侵犯だぜ。スクランブル発進で即ビンタを食らわせてやれ。
そんなことできません。私たちは家具ですし。
Oh yeah. Camden said something like that earlier. What? I'm still just thinking, I'm like, what does furniture mean? Of course, she didn't want her breasts touched. But if a guest so desired, she was prepared to sacrifice herself to suit their wants. A girl like this needs some urgent protection.
今時こんな献身美徳な子がいるとは。軽いめまいすら覚えるぜ。でもダメだ。ダメなんだ。俺がいやらしい顔で迫る。ハットハウス。いいよ、エッチ。そういうお約束じゃないとオチがつかねえんだよ。頼むよ、お願いでよ。俺を引っ叩いてくれよ。こう、バチンバチンと。
お願いは聞けません。家具ですから。
I'm still confused on what furniture means. Does it have something to do with the story or the mentality that the servants are forced to abide by? It could be something that they mentally have to, abide by due to some weird thing with the abuse of the person who owns the manor. Oh. You see, theories are beginning to formulate. Theories are beginning to formulate through this detail of Shannon and Cannon calling themselves furniture.
でも命令ならお聞きします。それが務めですから。
じゃあ命令させてもらうことにするよ。次からバトラ君が胸に触ろうとしてきたら平手打ちで反撃すること。いいね。
はい仰せつかりました。以後そのようにさせていただきます。バトラ様、ご承知おきくださいませ。
Shannon announced this while bowing elegantly to me. Her expression was radiant. I gave her a thumbs up to show her I was fine with that.
6年前はお手伝いさんの連れ子がついでにお手伝いみたいな印象だったんだけど、すっかり一人前の使用人さんだな。今年で何年になるんだ？
はい、おかげさまで10年ほどお仕えさせていただいております。
She's Shannon. The kanji for her name are read as Shannon. Wait, there we go. I think she just got added to the system. Yes, she did. She got added to the character sheet. I heard that sound. Whenever that sound plays, you're added to the character sheet. Servant Shannon, a young but experienced servant. She's normally calm and performs her job efficiently, but she messes up when she gets nervous. I'm gonna repeat that. I slurred too many words. She's normally calm and performs her job efficiently, but she messes up when she gets nervous. Furthermore, Shannon is nothing more than a pseudonym that she uses when on duty, not a real name. Intriguing. She's Shannon. The kanji for her name are read as Shannon. Now, here's another name that's far from typical for a Japanese person. Back in the day, I was a kid myself, so I accepted her name without paying it much attention. Thinking about it now, though, her name's pretty unusual, even though she's not a member of the Ushirimiya family. Maybe it's like a servant's professional name or something? If so, that might explain why your name's so similar to Kanon-kun, that kid I met earlier in the Rose Garden. She's a long-term servant who served here since she was 6 years old. Her appearance had changed so much that I couldn't match her to the person of my memories, but we both knew each other 6 years ago. That shy part of her had always been there, but she did seem to have developed the allure you'd expect of a girl of her age. Especially in her breast. Yes.
さっき会ったカノン君は彼女の弟なんだよ。
Oh.
弟というわけでは。でも、私のことを姉と慕ってくれます。何か失礼なことはしませんでしたか？
相変わらずいつも通りだぜ。もうちょっと愛想よくすればいいのによ。もったいないやつ。
カノン君がご迷惑をおかけしたようで申し訳ございません。
別に迷惑なんか何も。同じ男としてわかるさ。ありゃ気難しい年頃だ。
Is it me or okay? The age of 16 was not my moody age. It was the age of 14. That was my moody age.
愛想が悪いのは当たり前だぜ。
マリアもよく言われる。愛想悪いって言われる。カノンと一緒。マリア様は愛想悪くなんかありません。一緒がよかった。
食事の準備ができたんだっけ？
はい。失礼いたしました。お食事のご用意が整いましたので、皆様をお屋敷へご案内いたします。
Shannon bowed again, formally, and returned to her duty mode. We realized that if we made her stick around for any more light conversation, it would actually make it harder for her to do her job. We got off our butts to avoid interfering with her work any further.
じゃあ、お屋敷に行こうか。みんなもお腹が空いてたところでしょ？
だな。ゴーダさんがいる時の飯は楽しみなんだよ。あの人、どこぞの有名ホテルでシェフをやってたらしくて、かなり料理の腕があるんだぜ。
ほうほう、それ楽しみ。行こうぜマリア。ガツガツ犬みたいに食い散らかすぞ。
犬みたいに食い散らかす。
ダメダメ。バトラ君の言うことはいちいち真に受けちゃダメだよ。全部冗談なんだから。さあ、行こう行こう。
Under Shan-chan's guidance, we headed towards the mansion. Met once again by the magnificent Rose Garden, we continued onward as the intimidating mansion of the Ushirimiya head family came into view. It had apparently been built shortly after the war, so you could feel the dignity of almost a half-century hanging about it. The building was gorgeous on the surface, but old as it was, equipment such as its AC and heating were apparently quite frail. According to Jessica, midwinter was especially tough, what with all the drafts. Haven't these people ever heard of a kotatsu? Enter the Manor of Doom. As we entered the entrance hall, an aged servant greeted us. Now him, I remembered. Genji's son, who had been working here for longer than anyone, filled the role of head servant. And who is Genji? Well, we're about to see his character profile. Servant Genji. The leader of the servants who worked for the Ushimiya family, he has served Kinzo longer than any other, and is the person most trusted by that old man. Since he serves Kinzo directly, Cross and Natsuki think of him as being a spy for Kinzo. Ah. Alright, so we still have yet to be introduced to Cross.
バトラ様、お久しゅうございます。
Indeed. As our eyes met, he greeted me with a calm, composed voice. His bow wasn't as graceful or refined as Goda's. Not Gonda's. Goda's. I didn't... Okay, I read the H as an N for a second. But despite its simplicity, it communicated his feelings very well.
源氏さん、本当にお久しぶりっす。お元気そうですね。
おかげさまで、健やかに過ごさせていただいております。バトラ様こそ、ご立派になられました。親方様の若き日に、少し似てこられましたな。
俺が、じい様にってことは、さぞやじい様は若い頃モテたろうな。
ここからはシャノンに代わって、私がご案内申し上げます。どうぞこちらへ。
Shannon-chan bowed deeply and watched us leave. After that, we headed towards the dining room under Genji-san's guidance. Genji-san, just like Kumasawa-san, stood in stark contrast to us young people who have grown beyond recognition over the last 6 years. His appearance was exactly the same as in my memories from 6 years ago. It was as though time had stopped since the last time we met. Genji-san was an extremely quiet and diligent person. He was basically grandfather's close-eyed, or caregiver. And you might even call him grandfather's companion of many years. In fact, it seems he was by grandfather's side even more often than my late grandmother was. According to Jessica, grandfather trusted him more than any of his blood relatives. But I wonder how long he served. I never got the details, but I heard something about him being here since the very beginning, when this mansion was first constructed. Which would mean that he's dedicated half of his life to serving here. It's easy to see why he's so trusted. As we passed through a massive hall that extended up into the second story of the mansion with no separating floor, I spotted something that hadn't existed in my memory of 6 years ago. What did you spot? Oh boy, here we go. Oh, it's a painting of a woman. Intriguing. She kind of looks like a doll. Oh, she kind of a little bit looks like a doll in this painting. It was an awfully big portrait hanging right in front of the stairs that rose to the second floor. Without thinking, I stopped walking, captivated by it. Since I stopped so fast, Maria, who was following behind me, ran into my back.
Oh?
ああ、悪い。なあ、ジェシカ。あんな絵、前はあったっけ？
I pointed at the big, proudly displayed portrait in the hall. Everyone else stopped too.
ああ、そっか。バトラが来てた頃には、あれはかけられてなかったっけ？いつからだったかな。
確か、僕の記憶が正しければ、一昨年あたりだったと思うよ。
さようでございます。一昨年の4月に、親方様がかねてより画家に命じて描かせていたものを、あそこに展示なされたのでございます。
あのじいさまがね、わざわざ描かせてか。
The portrait suited this Western mansion, and that woman in the elegant dress gave off a sense of refinement. I couldn't have guessed her age, but her sharp eyes and the strong will she seemed to possess made her look youthful. Okay, she doesn't look like a doll from this angle. From this angle, she doesn't look that much like a doll, but okay, in the cutscene, she kind of looked like a porcelain doll to me. I don't know why, but she kind of looked like a porcelain doll. I don't know. She seems somehow different from the composed, middle-aged woman you often see in famous pictures. If she'd had normal black hair, I might assume it was a portrait of my long-deceased grandmother in her prime. However, she had beautiful blonde hair and didn't look Japanese at all.
で、誰だい？このご婦人はよ。
Maria answered that simple question enthusiastically, as though proud she knew the answer. Grandfather's mistress!
マリア知ってる。ベアトリーチェ。
Oh, she might actually. Oh shit, is she actually the mistress?
なんだって？
ベアトリーチェ。魔女だよ。
Oh. This game is about witches. Oops. Okay, it was about time for the mention of the witch to come, but still. Saying that it was Grandpa's mistress in the painting. I'm sorry, everyone.
バトラ君は昔聞かされたことない？
魔女？って、この島の？
I think I already said this, but Rokenjima is a small island, only 10 kilometers in circumference. However, that's actually pretty massive, considering that only the Ushirimiya family lives here. So, only the harbor and the area around the mansion were set up to be lived in. Beyond that, the island remained as untouched as when it was uninhabited. The vast and empty forest had absolutely no lights, phones, or people passing through. To understand how dangerous that is, you need to forget your common sense as a city dweller. After all, if you happen to fall down a hole in the depths of the forest and sprain your ankle, no one would come to save you, no matter how much you cried or screamed. Then, once the sun went down, the forest would be wrapped in complete darkness, since there were no streetlights. And, since there were no signs, it'd be easy to get lost and confused, losing your sense of direction inside that dark forest. Nowadays, most people see a forest as a peaceful place. But to the people of bygone eras, before the light of civilization drove out the night, forests were as geographically separated from civilization as the sea. They were oceans above the ground. Fishermen who go out into the ocean are putting their lives at risk, despite their technical knowledge. In the same way, hunters who go out to the forest are in danger, despite having specialized knowledge of their own. If children were to go play in such a dangerous forest, something terrible might happen. Someone's parents must have thought so. Maybe grandmother first said it, or maybe it was grandfather himself. Or perhaps the story's been passed down on this island since ancient times. There's a terrible witch in the forest, so you must not go in. At some point, this ghost story of Rokenjima was born. This is the legend of Rokenjima's witch. That's why, when we talk about a witch on this island, we're referring to the master of that vast and savage forest. Come to think of it, when I stayed at this mansion as a little kid, during those eerie nights when the wind and rain pounded on the windows. I remember being terrified by a story of the forest witch who roamed around searching for human sacrifices. So, Beatrice, huh? When Aniki mentioned it, I searched my memory and was sure I recalled hearing a name like that when I was little.
なるほどな。しかし、あの魔女伝説の魔女に、ベアトリーチェなんておしゃれな名前がついてたとは、とんと忘れてたぜ。じいさまめ。孫たちが信じないもんだから、わざわざ絵に描きやがったか？
じいさまの妄想の中の魔女だよ。この絵を掲げた頃から、現実と幻想の区別がつかなくなり始めた。
Oh!
私たちにとっては想像の中の魔女に過ぎないけど、じいさまにとっては、彼女はこの島にいる存在。いる。だから、それを理解することができない私たちにもわかるよう、あの絵を描かせたって言うんだけど。気持ち悪いったらありゃしないぜ。
お嬢様、親方様にとっては大切な肖像画です。親方様の前でそのようにおっしゃられることがございませんよう、固くお願い申し上げます。
わかってるぜ。頼まれても言わねえよ。
Jessica glanced at the portrait with an irritated gaze before turning away.
行こうよ。食堂にみんなを待たせてるよ。
お腹すいた。
Only a small portion of this island was controlled by the Ushirimiya family. All of the lawless remainder was the domain of the witch, Beatrice. You might even call her the true ruler of Rokenjima. I felt a faint revival of that unsettling sense of misfortune, which I felt when I learned of the Tuterli's god's shrine being struck by lightning. And I remembered that Kumasawa-san tried to tell an ominous story about Rokenjima before Jessica stopped her. I don't know what she was planning to tell us about this island, but I do know one thing. It isn't the Ushirimiya family that rules the Rokenjima. It's the witch, Beatrice. That's right. After all, this is the witch's island.
バトラー！遅い！
When I looked around, everyone was already heading towards the dining room. I hurriedly chased after them. Alright. I'm gonna leave the entry to the dining room for next time, because that is all the time I have for this recording session of Umineko When They Cry, Episode 1, Legend of the Golden Witch. Now, the sense of mystery is coming in. Beatrice, the witch, has just been introduced. Grandpa can't tell what is real and what is fake. Or, is what is fake actually real? And what is real is actually fake. Okay, what did I just say? In a sense, this kind of reminds me of Higurashi in the sense of the mystery, with Beatrice basically being kind of like Orishio-sama. Both are legends, and both are claimed to be the ruler of an area. That's the first similarity I'm beginning to see. The other similarities, I'm slowly, I have to grasp at straws to make the other similarities at the moment, but still, it's quite interesting to see a story that I have no clue how it's gonna go out. So like, I have no clue what happens in Umineko when they cry, but I cannot wait to start formulating theories as to what the hell is actually going on. And I can't wait. I really can't wait. And this might be wrong of me to think this at first, but in my current mind theory, I'm starting to think that the witch is more or less a legend that is a legend still, but it might be a little bit more than a legend. Now, I'm not exactly going for a fantastical approach, because Higurashi, yes, they go for a fantastical approach, but it was still grounded in reality with the storyline of 3, 2, 1, Higurashi spoiler incoming. It kind of goes for a realistic setup of Takano kind of being the mastermind behind everything with Tokyo. Tokyo, the organization, not the city. But yeah, I'm starting to feel that, the stuff going down in Rokkenjima, I'm thinking it's going to be caused by humans, but there might be some godly interference, like with how Hanyu interferes with the story of Matsuri Bayashi Hen. Now, Hanyu's on the good side with the characters. Hanyu's on the good side as kind of the representation of Orishio-sama. Now, I don't know who's going to be the representation of Beatrice, but who knows? Maybe the representation of Beatrice, a godly-like figure, could be not for the characters. I'm not for sure. Theories are beginning to formulate in my head. So thank you all for watching this part of me playing Higurashi Umineko. Umineko when they cry.
Okay, okay.